Jim Chapman, our dear Jim Chapman is going to sing us the first song.
Sunday morning and here we are, coming together from near and far. We're unity, home for you and for me. I've got family waiting for me. Every Sunday I'm glad to see we're unity, home for you and for me. We're so happy it's Sunday. This is our very own Unity Day. We're here where we belong, with all of our family. We're unity, a home for you and for me. The sun is shining and I am too. I feel so happy. How about you? We're unity, home for you and for me. We're so grateful that love abounds with our brothers and sisters all around. We're unity, home for you and for me. We're so happy it's Sunday. This is our very own Unity Day. We're here where we belong, with all of our family. We're unity, home for you and for me. We're unity, home for you and for me. Oh, me, yeah.
Thank you, Jim. Oh, what a beautiful song you've written for us. Well, everybody, welcome home. As Jim said, here at Unity of London, we welcome first-timers, returning guests, longtime members, and all of our friends on Zoom. We celebrate the spirit of abundance, love, life, and community. As we grow together, we learn the joys of giving as well as receiving from each other. We should have the 5 principles coming up. Please repeat those with me. Number 1, God is all good and active in everything, everywhere. Number 2, I am naturally good because God's divinity is within me and in everyone. Number 3, I create my experiences, but what I choose to think, what I feel and believe. Number 4, through affirmative prayer and meditation, I connect with God and bring out the good in my life. I do my best by living the truth I know. I make a difference. How do we make a difference? By inspiring people to be the change, sharing a smile or a kind word, paying attention to someone who looks lonely and sad, volunteering my time to help out. I'm inspiring others to make a positive change in the world. Let's be the change. We coexist by providing fellowship and education for spiritual seekers of all walks of life. You can, oh, here's Jim again. There he is. We got to keep him busy or he might get in trouble.
Some months ago, years ago, 26 years ago, I was very ill for several months, and I had to depend on the kindness, not of strangers, but of family and friends. who literally had to come and babysit me, my sister and my sister-in-law in particular. And they would come and stay all night. Anyway, they were just marvelous. And at one point in my recovery, I got to feeling very guilty about that of having to, impose upon them in this way. And my sister-in-law, I said it one night to her, and she gave me a bit of a dressing down, and she said, "No, no, no, you got it backwards." He said, you're not asking us for a favor. You're not doing what you're offering us is a favor to us because you're giving us an opportunity to serve, to help you because we love you and you help us and have helped us in the past. So that tune is I was thinking about that this week, and I thought it's a perfect song for that, and it's a message that really goes beyond wise anytime. When the life has got you down and no pathway can be found to a place where you can lay your burden down. Share the load when things get rough. Share the load when times are tough. There's no reason you should carry it alone. Spirit's always there along with all your friends who care. Don't fall beneath their burden. Share the load when your back is bending low and you have to keep on going, sometimes to and froing. It's then you need a hand. Look around, what do you see? Spirit, friends, and family, and all will happily take up the slack and help you stand. So share the load when things get rough. Share the load when times are tough. There's no reason you should carry it alone. 'Cause Spirit's always there along with all your friends who care. Don't fall beneath your burden. Share the load. When the road is strewn with gravel and it's awfully tough to travel and you're starting to unravel, share the load. We know there's strength in numbers and it leaves us unencumbered if the load is rocks or lumber or perhaps a heavy heart. It's not a debt that must be paid. Never fear to ask for aid, 'cause when a plea for help is made, those who care will do their part. And share the load when things get rough. Share the load when times are tough. There's no reason to carry it alone. 'Cause Spirit's always there with all your friends who care. Don't fall beneath your burden. Share the load. Don't fall beneath your burden. Share the load.
Thank you, Jim. We are so blessed to have you as a member of our Unity of London. Don't go far. You can see on the slide there a picture of our Unity prayer box. If you want to, if you have someone on your heart that you want prayer for, or you have someone that if you for yourself want prayer, you can make a slip of paper there and put it in our prayer box. Our prayer chaplains will pray over those names and will then send those names on to Unity Unity International. And those loving people will pray over those names again on an ongoing basis. So, yes, and if at any time of the day or night you feel that you need prayer for yourself or for others, then you can call 1-800 Now Pray, because there at Unity Village, there are people waiting, loving, kind people waiting there by the telephones to pray for you and with you. And today's prayer chaplains, well, there's myself, and you've seen me, but I'll put on a prayer stole just in case, like me, you don't have the greatest memory. Who was that person that was going to be the prayer chaplain today? Just tap me on the shoulder. I'll either be in the fellowship room there, or will be part of the prayer circle if nobody comes up to pray or in to pray. Nobody comes and finds me. So yes, and Wilda, our beloved Wilda, is online. So if you're online and you want to pray with Wilda, just put a little message in the chat, and Lorraine will put you in a prayer room, an online prayer room with Wilda, and she'll be happy to pray with you there. And I would like to offer a prayer for the group of us. If you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes. If not, just turn your gaze. Divine Spirit, we know the power of thought. We give thanks for the faith demonstrated by all participating here in this service, for we are holding fast to what is good, and we abstain from all thoughts of hopelessness, fear, and anxiety. We hold peace in our hearts and see peace spreading throughout the world as we pray for those in the United States, in Venezuela, Ukraine, Russia, Iran, Israel, Palestine, and everywhere in the world. We pray for all of our Unity of London community, those whose names have been found in our Unity of London prayer box, and we affirm that all needs are being met according to your will. And so it is, Lord. Amen. The daily word. Well, we've only got 4 left in the library there. So if you want one, you better get them fast because they're going. And our dear George is going to come up and he's going to read today's daily word, and he's going to introduce today's speaker. Thank you, George. Yes, of course you will. Take the money.
Good day. Good day. So the word for today is release. I release old beliefs as I grow and evolve. So many things shaped my beliefs over the years. My upbringing, family history, education, friendships, spiritual life, to name a few. As I go through life, I have new experiences and meet all kinds of people. I may find old beliefs that once fit me no longer. Growing and deepening in spiritual understanding may mean releasing ways of thinking that no longer serve me. But I can do that and still honor the person I was, my background, and my history. Releasing makes room in my mind and opens my heart for the person I am becoming. Releasing my old beliefs readies me for a future of growth and evolution. And from Jeremiah 40, verse 4, now look, I have just released you today from the fetters of your hands. See, the whole land is before you. Go wherever you think it good and right to go. And today's speaker is Wendy Karr. And due to the weather conditions, Wendy's going to be coming through Zoom. Wendy joined Unity in 1984 and received her licensed Unity teacher status in 2000. She has been a facilitator of Unity's courses for over 25 years and has been honored to be made adjunct faculty at Unity Worldwide Spiritual Institute. In 2024, she began co-hosting an online spirit group entitled What's So Good About the Good Book? It's a safe space to explore Unity's take on the Bible. At the 2025 Unity Canada Conference, she was the recipient of the Northern Light of God Expressing Award. She is honored to be with Unity through Zoom today with her message, Love Stories of Unity. Please join me in welcoming licensed Unity teacher Wendy Karr.
Thanks, George. Hi, everybody. Uh, yeah, I am so grateful that I didn't have to drive out to see you today. The roads are a bit slick over here, and we are able to continue to meet, and it's wonderful. And I have to apologize because I was not thinking clearly when I sent my talk titles in, and I completely forgot that this is the first Sunday of Lent. And I was thinking, oh, Valentine's Day and, February and our month of love. So happy first Sunday of Lent. Easter will arrive on April 5th, which isn't that far away. So what I wanted to do today, I don't know about the rest of you. I will not presume to know what's in your life or on your hearts. But I found things kind of heavy lately. And I thought to myself, well, what would be a good topic to discuss? And I got thinking, there's some really fun love stories in our Unity movement, not the least of which is our co-founders. And a few years ago, this was our affirmation, and I love to pull it up so every so often. I am a living, loving expression of God right here and now. And for me as a historian, particularly of the Unity movement, what I've kind of noticed is sometimes we get caught up in the spirituality of our leadership, of, putting them up on a pedestal. I know I've been guilty of saying, oh, I don't pray as well as Charles, or I'm not as good with words as Myrtle was, or I'm not as good as demonstrating as Emily Cady was. And I just wanted to share with you some very human stories, because I think it's important to remind ourselves that everyone who has been in the Unity movement was first and foremost a human being who was human doing, and from whom we developed this wonderful movement that we have now. So if you haven't met our co-founders, Charles and Myrtle, here they are. If you are at Nelson Street, oops, let's go back one. You will see a color photo or a color picture of them. I believe it's at the back of the sanctuary, if memory serves. So here's something, that a lot of people don't realize. Myrtle was 9 years older than Charles. And that meant that she was actually fairly close in age to her mother-in-law. Horrors. Um, but it's an interesting story of how they met. And, I personally, until I read the story and saw it in a video, I had never thought of Charles as a hopeless romantic. And yet he was, insofar as when he and Myrtle meet in Denison, Texas, they're at a literary society because, of course, back in the day, you don't have the internet to entertain you. You're doing things outside with people. You are engaged with people. You might be doing some things at home, but it's likely that even if you were knitting or quilting or canning or doing all of those types of things, You were probably doing it as a group because, as they say, many hands make light work, especially if you're preparing food for the winter season. But he's at a literary society, and this young woman gets up to do a reading. And he writes that something inside him said, Charles, there's your wife. Whoa! Now, at this point, Charles is not particularly on a spiritual path. We don't have a lot of reference to him being raised with religious beliefs. That'll come a little later. But the fact that part of him said, yes, that is the woman I'm going to marry, just kind of goes, not contrary, but just kind of contrary to what Charles is pictured as later in life, once the Unity movement has begun, once it started expanding beyond the confines of Kansas City, Missouri. Now, Charles and Myrtle correspond by letters for 5 years before they decide to get married. Now, this would have been a huge decision for Myrtle, because in those days, and actually into the 20th century, a female teacher had to remain single. In some contracts, it was even said that the Board of Trustees could decide and approve and have a say in who you dated or who came courting. I mean, that just boggles my mind of that amount of control over a woman's life. I suspect it's because some folks were a little uncomfortable of the birds and the bees and what happens when married couples start having children. I'm just saying. Because I know there were some uncomfortable conversations when I was in grade 1 and our teacher was pregnant and left in January and didn't come back. We had another teacher for the rest of the year. But knowing that she would have to give up her career to marry this man, knowing that her students were so upset with her that they picketed the wedding. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine your students calling him the horrible Mr. Fillmore that took your beloved teacher away? Very different times. But it's also clear that they had a number of things in common, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, but they had both been through, indirectly for Charles, directly for Myrtle, the program of education for teachers at Oberlin College. Myrtle trained to be a teacher, and Charles was taught by someone who had been in this program. So they had some commonalities in their knowledge base. They had things to talk about. They could talk about a favorite poet, and they knew what they were discussing. Now, this next slide, I'm happy to have it up now. This is a group photo. Unity started out of the respective healings of Myrtle first and then Charles. Myrtle had been told she was given a terminal diagnosis, and at that time she still had small children under the age of 10. And she started to pray. She started to pray in a way that contradicted what she had been raised with. And so many of us in the Unity movement find that we have a bump up against what we were taught as children in our church of origin and what we have learned in the Unity movement. And what Myrtle heard at a lecture was, I am a child of God and therefore I do not inherit illness. And she started working with this premise that she wasn't worthless, that she wasn't doomed to be sick all her life and die young. And so she works with this and she is healed. And the reason I know and I can say definitively that she was healed is she had her third son after that time. So clearly whatever happened in her body as she was gaining back to a higher state of health also was there to support their third child. Charles watches his wife. He's seeing what's happening. It's right in front of him. He can't say, oh, well, I got it from the internet, so it can't be real. He's watching it happen right in front of him. And he starts following her practices, and he too experiences some healing. But I want you to hear that the unity movement started off from these two people who had a healing need and found a pathway to sort it out and to be, they both lived, Myrtle into her 80s and Charles into his 90s. They both lived well beyond what was considered to be the normal lifespan of an American in Missouri at the time. Myrtle passes in 1931. 1931, just as a sidebar, was a rainbow year, is what I like to call it. Charles's mother, Grandma Fillmore, passed. And so because she was close in age to Myrtle, that's kind of a double whammy for Charles. He loses his mother and his wife in the same year. But at the same time, we have the publication of the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, which will kind of become a foundation for how Unity interprets the Bible. So there's this huge birth and two passages. Now, I've read some of the newspaper clippings from the time, and they described Charles as a man deep in grief. And I suspect, I can't prove it, but I suspect that he was one of those men that just, he needed someone. He was not good on his own. Some folks, when they have a breakup, they're like, never again. But it was clear that Charles needed some support systems, having had his mom and his wife there to assist him, to assist with the day-to-day things of life. Oh, that's my first love story. My second one is number two son, Rickard, who actually was the first of the three boys to get married. And here he is with his wife Harriet and Charles R. And we always call him Charles R. to distinguish him from his grandfather. And Rosemary, who you may have heard of or you may have seen in different books and on television back when Unity had PSAs on different channels. Harriet passed relatively young. The children, Rosemary was 13 and Charles would have been about 17-ish, thereabouts. So they were both having challenging times. Teenagehood is challenging enough, what with the puberty and the hormones and, all of those things. And what I find kind of interesting is that Rickard was so bereft, and he so believed that he and Harriet were matched forever, that even though he was relatively young at the time as well, and he had these two small children, oftentimes we'll see someone take on another partner to assist with the raising of the children. And he didn't. He believed strongly that it was forever and that he would be rejoined with Harriet when he got to the other side. Now, the second son to get married was actually the baby of the family, Royal. And he married Frances. And they had one child, and Frances unfortunately passed from a situation with the birth. And Royal was just bereft. And I never understood that until my own husband passed. And then I got a glimmer. And it's challenging to acknowledge that these men felt pain. These are our spiritual leaders. These are the people who formed Unity. These are the people who formed Unity Farm. It was Royal's idea to get that initial plot of land. And they were behind the scenes, yes, but they were influential. Royal was key to Myrtle's Wee Wisdom magazine that ran for about 100 years, that inspired children both within and without the Unity movement. What we know about Royal is that eventually he went to the Battle Creek Sanatorium that was run by the Kellogg Company or the family, and he passed there 2 years after his wife. And one of the things that has always made Myrtle very real for me is that when she writes to her sister about Royal's funeral, he was so well known in the Kansas City area that they actually put loudspeakers outside of the building where the ceremony was being held. And there was a crowd outside. And she writes to her sister, I do not think there is a single florist who has a flower left. And then she writes, I must close for now. My heart is too full. The love of a mother for her son. So Charles and Myrtle and Francis's parents tried raising young Imogene, the daughter, themselves. Eventually, they renamed her Frances, and that's how she's been known. So we have, I mean, can you feel the humanity of these stories? It sounds very much like any one of us. And in the midst of all of this, we still have the unity movement growing and expanding. And perhaps it was their own personal prayer lives that helped them get through these scenes, through these situations. And yet, I'm reminded that they wept, they got angry, they got frustrated with life. I'm sure at some point they said, why me? Why him? Why her? All of the things that, at least in my church of origin, we were told not to say. So you're probably wondering what happened to number one son. Well, number one son did eventually get married to a lady named Alice. Lowell and Alice ended up adopting Frances and raising her. I had the privilege of doing some archival work on Frances's papers, and I found it really interesting that her letters home while she was off at college were always addressed to Uncle Lowell and Aunt Alice. So they were clearly her aunt and uncle, even though they were taking on the parental role. And it's interesting to me, as I've been blessed to be an archivist and work in the archives, that I'm seeing these stories behind the scenes. And you might wonder, well, I've never heard of Frances. Well, Frances didn't find unity to be a good match for her spiritual path. As far as I know, the only time she came to Unity headquarters was when they were dedicating Lowell's garden and area, and that she has chosen a different spiritual path. So we too, we may have family members that don't match up with our path, but guess what? So did the Fillmores. I remember talking to a minister who discovered there was somebody named Fillmore on their street, and they asked the neighbor, are you by any chance related to? And the person said, yeah, actually we are, but we don't talk about them. So in addition to having these wonderful love stories, these stories of great emotional passion, we have a very human side, expressing love, expressing that which is the greater aspect of love, not just romance, but being there for each other, taking care of each other, walking through the difficult times together. You may not have met this woman. If you've heard me speak a lot, you will have. This is Cora. Cora Dedrick Fillmore was Charles's second wife. Horrors, oh my goodness, he remarried. And I chuckle only because, unfortunately, Cora kind of got the bum end of the stick. I am so grateful to Cora because she ensured that Charles was well taken care of. She had goats at their home so he could have fresh goat's milk. She made sure that he ate well, that he remembered to eat between his prayers. She did a lot of work behind the scenes. And unfortunately, she wasn't as welcome as one might have expected. Now, if you recall my story earlier about Rickard, when Charles announced that he was going to marry Cora, who had been his secretary and had worked with Myrtle, it was 2 years after Myrtle had passed. So it wasn't like he jumped into another marriage right away. There was a pause. And Lowell and Alice supported this pause and said, come, get married in our foyer. I guess their house had a nice big foyer. And Ernest Wilson, a name you may have heard, said in his biography that he realized that he should have taken out the line, if anyone knows just cause why these two should not be married. Because when he said that, Rickard, who had been hiding in a closet nearby, jumped out and said, Father, please don't. Because as I shared earlier, he believed that marriage was for eternity. Wow, people like us, people who had challenges. In the newspapers, they described this as religious leader marries secretary. What I want you to invite you to think about, though, this is the 1930s. Charles is going to be going on speaking and teaching tours. Which is more appropriate in society for him? To be traveling with his secretary or to be traveling with his second wife, who's also widowed? And that is the crux of the matter for me, was acknowledging that there was a definite connection between those two. She understood his writing, which, if you've ever seen Charles's handwriting, was an amazing thing. She also understood his thinking. And without her, we probably would not have a lot of the unity teachings that we do have, because Charles just was so advanced in his thinking. I've read some passages a couple times over the years, and even with the learning I've had in the middle, it hasn't made sense always. So I caught this picture when I was working in the archives, and I went, I remember this picture. But it was just of Charles and the window above him, or a portion of the window above him. And I understood why when I turned the picture over. Somebody wrote, did you recognize this couple or this setting? He was truly a master and a saint, but I much preferred the First Lady. Cora had to have been an incredibly strong woman to face this kind of pushback from within a spiritual community. I think that's the part that gets me the most. Another couple I'd like to share with you. May Rowland and Frank Whitney. You might recognize the picture on the right. If you don't, that's Niagara Falls. They honeymooned in Niagara Falls. This was the power couple, in many ways, of Unity. May Rowland became Silent Unity director and was for many, many years, decades in fact, and Frank was the one who invented the Daily Word, our magazine that we read from earlier. These two, that's like the core, what people outside of the Unity movement know Unity for, our prayer and Daily Word. What's interesting is Frank and May discovered that they really weren't a good couple. They actually divorced. And Frank actually went on to pass before May, and she knew in her heart when he passed. So at some level, they understood that they're human attachment wasn't the best, but they still were so attached at the spiritual level. And it's said that the day that May Rowland passed, or the morning after, they went to the grounds at Unity Village and they went to put the flag up, and it wouldn't go past half mast. And people have said later that that was Frank keeping the flag down because it hadn't been announced yet, but that there was a symbol of that. I love that story, that, for what it's worth, the idea that there's something beyond this human experience. And finally, oh, I forgot I had this slide. So here we have Silent Unity as it was when it first moved to the village. Some of you may recognize that building. And the very first a reproduction of the very first Daily Word in July of 1924. And they were both key people in our unity movement, as I said. Finally, James Stillett Freeman. He had a number of relationships, and the first one was with his wife, Catherine. And she had an advanced malignancy. And one of his most famous poems came out of that. And I'd like to share with you what he has to say with it. In this book, Love is Strong as Death, he writes, I had gone to pray for Catherine in the Silent Unity prayer room at 917 Tracy in Kansas City. As I sat there in agony, unable to bring my mind into enough order to speak words of prayer, suddenly I heard a voice. The voice was so real, so audible that I looked around to see who was there. The voice said, Do you need me? I am there. This poem that came out of him in the depths of his grief as he watched his wife making her transition went to the moon. I have seen it in many places on the internet marked as anonymous. And I know that many people have found great comfort from that poem, and I'll share it during our time of meditation. Finally, the rebel. I have been unable to find anything that suggested that Emily Cady was in any kind of romantic relationship. She was a homeopathic doctor, and I believe that that was her passion, and that's what she was married to. I find a kinship because when she writes about prosperity, she describes the struggle that she had in order to prove the principles that she was teaching. So all sorts of love, all sorts of expressions, all sorts of Valentines. So I will wish you a blessed Lent. You'll see me again in a couple weeks. And let us take a moment and breathe. And remind ourselves that I am a living, loving expression of God right here and now. And we just accept and acknowledge that there are many types of love, many expressions of love, and that we are not alone in how we express this love. And as we move into our meditation time, let us share our affirmations for the month of February. As is our tradition, I will repeat it once, pause, and then I'll invite you to repeat with me. And if you're on Zoom, please, and thank you for remaining muted. For inner peace, divine peace flows in my mind and my heart. And together, divine peace flows in my mind and my heart. For wisdom, Centered in divine wisdom, I trust the whispers of truth. And together, centered in divine wisdom, I trust the whispers of truth. For wholeness, one with God, I choose life, wholeness, and well-being. Together, one with God, I choose life, wholeness, and well-being. For strength, God is my strength. I am steadfast and courageous. And together, God is my strength. I am steadfast and courageous. For blessing, awakened in divine love, I am a blessing. And breathing in our affirmations and acknowledging the paths of those who have gone before us. We give thanks for the demonstrations of love, for the pathways that we have been able to follow, and for the strength that gives us the opportunity to set our own path and allow those who are coming behind us in the generations to follow our path as well. Not to be like us, but to know that it is a safe place where spiritual principles have been demonstrated and where love encompasses all. And let us just take a moment in the silence to bless and appreciate. And for everyone in our lives, past, present, and future, we are so grateful. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen. And thank you, Unity of London.
Wendy, we send you our love. You are such a blessing to us when you share us with your wisdom and your blessings. Thank you so much for being with us again. And we wait eagerly for your group study groups, spirit groups, and for the next visit you have here to Unity of London. Jim's going to sing us another song.
There's a miracle here, ladies and gentlemen, today. This guitar, I play here and there. It's not going through the system as far as I can figure it. I don't know what's happening. I don't know why it's working, but it is. So let's this doesn't work too well with this. I suppose I could sing down. When Pauline tries to keep me. Pauline tries to keep me informed about what's going on. Yes, she sent me the information about Wendy's talk today, and was going to be about love, and I thought, oh, so I went to my song files, and under L, for love. And that one wasn't bad. Well, that's not too bad. Oh, that's a pretty good one. I could maybe do that. And then I found this one. And it's not a Unity tune, but I don't always play Unity tunes. If I think there's a message there that's a good message, I'll play almost anything. And I thought, oh yeah, I remember this tune. I think maybe I did this last year. I thought about this time last year. I think I did it, but I thought this is a perfect song because it is about love, but a particular message of love. And basically it's telling us just to reach out and love each other. Let your love flow to other people, and you'll get it back. There's a reason for the sunshine and sky, and there's a reason while I'm feeling so high, must be the season when love light shines all around us. So let the feeling wrap you deep inside and send you reeling where love can't hide. Then you're dealing with the power of love that surrounds us. Just let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow the smallest of dreams, and let your love show. You'll know what I mean, 'cause it's the season. Let your love fly like a bird on a wing, and let your love find you. Do all living things and let your love shine. You know what I mean? That's the reason. Well, there's a reason for the warm, sweet nights, and there's a reason for the loving light. Must be the season when the love light shines all around us. So let the wonder take you into space and lay you under its loving embrace. Just feel the thunder as it warms your face. You can't hold back. No, 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 just let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show. You know what I mean, that it's the season, and let your love fly like a bird on a wing, and let your love blind you to all living things, and let your love shine. You know what I mean? That's the reason. Let your love shine, and you know how that's the reason. Just let your love shine. You know that love is the reason. Oh, thank you.
Thank you again. Oh, Jim, you are such a blessing. Find my spot here. Where am I? Okay. Oh, we're going to talk about our donations. Your donations help keep London Unity alive and thriving. We all know that there's many ways to give a donation: by check, by MasterCard, Visa, debit, by using the Tidely site, by e-transfer. Oh my goodness, what did we do back in the old days? Oh, yes. Thank you, Kate and Dave, for passing along our blue bags. Let's repeat together the prosperity blessing. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Okay, the announcements. We got a lot of things going on here at Unity. Our weekday morning meditations at 9 o'clock are happening on Zoom. You use the same Unity link on Zoom that you would use for this meeting. That changed because we used to have a different link. But yes, we've got that same one, that same link. The Sacred Circle is going to happen again today. Now our dear Chuck is going to be with us, but it's still going to continue with a lovely person that I can't remember. Lindsay is gonna, oh, I should have remembered that. Lindsay's gonna lead that for us. Unity courses. Yes, we've got a Unity course happening, the SPD self-awareness course. It's going to start on February 24th, 2 to 4, and it's going to run for 6 weeks. That's going to be great. Students will explore the dimensions of self by studying various systems and techniques for self-awareness, become more conscious of their attitudes, beliefs, and ways by looking at the symptoms of stress and imbalance. They'll learn how to integrate spiritual principles to maintain balance and to honor all facets of their being. There's two books that you're going to need. One is by Gay Hendricks called The Conscious Living, and one by our dear friend Eric Butterworth, and it's entitled In the Flow of Life. So yeah, those are great books to get a hold of and to join that group if you can. Oh, and this is exciting. And I don't just say this because Patsy and I and Robert McQueen are going to be leading this, but there's going to be a crockpot cooking class or group, not a class, a group. We're going to get together. Everybody's welcome. And anybody from the neighborhood, any of your friends, you, anybody, and our dear Robert McQueen let me know that he was going to post that on his foraging group. And he said there's 29 people in that, 2,900 people in that group. And I said, I don't think we can quite accommodate 2,900 people. But yeah, come on out and join us. It's going to be free. Robert and I and anybody else who wants to donate are going to provide the food that we need to make one or two great big crock pots full of recipes that people are interested in. And we'll give you a little container, or you can bring a little container and take that home with you. We'll give you the recipe and you can make it for family and friends. We're going to have a lot of fun. So yes, please do come out. It's going to start first time on March the 14th, and it's going to run second Saturdays until June through, yes, we figure once it gets really warm and sunny, people might not want to spend their Saturdays, when kids are home from school. They might have other things they want to do. But we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to cook some great recipes, and please tell your friends. Yes. Oh, and if you don't have a crock pot, some have been donated, so don't worry about that. Yes. Okay, and our annual AGM is going to be happening on Sunday, March the 12th at 12 noon, sorry, the 12th, Monday, March the 22nd at 12 p.m. Come out and be part of it. It's going to be a great time, and we'll find out a lot of good stuff that's been going on and happening here at Unity and the results of all your love and kindness. Oh, and of course, our Wednesday music nights with Jim Chapman from 7:30 to 9. And this coming Wednesday night, we're going to have Dan Rutledge. He's going to play Lightfoot music and songs. And Dan Mailer is going to be playing Neil Young music, and Jim, of course, is going to be playing Roy Orbison's songs. And yeah, that's all before my time. But I'm sure it's going to be great. Yes. You can get advance tickets from Jim Chapman at rogers.com or just pay $10 at the door. What an amazing time it is for $10. Oh my goodness, it's great. What a deal. Okay, please repeat with me. The light of God surrounds me. I am the light. The love of God enfolds me. I am the love. The power of God protects me. I am the power. The presence of God watches over me. I am the presence. Whatever I am, God is, and all is well. Yay, God. Okay, let's stand up and sing our peace song. And if anybody really has to go, then please just quietly leave after this song. Otherwise, we'll want to give people an opportunity to make a comment about our service. Oh, you guys, you should be on Jim's groups singing. Okay, who would like to come up and say a thing or two? Wendy, I'm sure is still online.